Hello and welcome to the Undead Gaming News Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host, Zombie, and joining me is my co-host, Litchi.
Hello!
First up this week, we have Dbrand, a device customization company, claiming that Sony has threatened to sue them. In a cease and desist letter, lawyers representing Sony accused the company of infringing on their copyright as well as counterfeiting Sony's products. In the letter, Sony's lawyers assert that affixing a counterfeit version of our client's logo is certain to cause consumers to mistakenly believe that Dbrand's products was produced by, licensed by, or otherwise affiliated with Sony Interactive Entertainment, and as a result constitutes a blatant infringement on Sony Interactive Entertainment's rights under trademark and copyright law. In the PlayStation Family Mark, indeed, Dbrand concedes that this design is an apocalyptic spin on Sony Interactive Entertainment protected trademark and acknowledges that PlayStation's shaped logo is both familiar to Dbrand's customer base and sufficiently famous to be called classic PlayStation button shapes. In response to the allegation, Dbrand defended themselves by saying, "Sony believes our distinctive and original Illuminati pyramid, radiation hazard, skull and crossbones, and angry robot head symbols engraved on the inside of the dark plates infringe on their trademark button shapes. How the fuck did Squid Game get away with it?" The post even includes a comparison between the three. They closed their post by saying, "Instead of answering it, let's get to the point. We've elected to submit to the terrorist demands for now. While we strongly believe in the consumer's rights to customize and modify their hardware with aftermarket components, your dark plates are now a collector's item. You know what they say, you either die a dark plates owner or you live long enough to see yourself become the scalper. In closing, fuck you and especially fuck Sony. Talk soon." And Sony has made no further comment at this time. What do you think of all this?
Sony has more of a case when it comes to Squid Game, because that is literally a copy and paste.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously at least Dbrand decided to add a little bit extra detail to the buttons. But the fact that you chose to go with obviously those buttons shows you are definitely trying to copy that sequence. You just obviously turn them into different design. It's still the circle, triangle, X and square.
Yeah, they've just modified it a bit, but they're trying to make faceplates for the PS5, so of course they're going to have some form of PlayStation symbolism.
Considering it's for the PS5, you're making a product obviously for the PS5 and you want to use their trademarks, then if you want to use their trademark, you have to be involved with Sony.
But that's the thing, they modified it, so it's not the exact trademark.
Yeah, but it's clear obviously why they chose those symbols is to match the trademark. But then they're also saying, we changed it so it's not the trademark. It's like, why'd you choose the symbols then, if you're not trying to match that trademark?
Because it's still a PlayStation product that they're making.
They make a product that doesn't have those symbols on, but also fits on the PS5. If you want to use the trademarks, you have to be in contact with Sony, have their agreement that you can use their trademarks on your product. But, as I said, Sony would have a much better claim going after Squid Game than they would Dbrand.
Yeah.
Because it is that is a literal copy and paste.
Yeah, but they don't care about Squid Game. They care about Dbrand because they're making a PS5 faceplate. It had nothing to do really with the symbols, because they've had a very aggressive stance towards people who make faceplates, because they don't want anyone making faceplates.
Does Sony make faceplates? Is it like competing with their market?
They only have the white faceplate that comes with the console at the moment.
Yeah.
And considering their aggressive stance towards people who make faceplates that are third parties, I would assume that at some point they're planning on actually making different faceplates, different colours and stuff.
Yeah, but no, if you're going to obviously make things, obviously, if you're going to make faceplates for the PS5, talk to the people who make the PS5 and get their permission to obviously modify the product, because technically you're not supposed to obviously like take the console apart and put new pieces on. That is technically I think against the warranty.
Not for the faceplates. You're allowed to remove the faceplates, especially considering that you have to remove them to install the extra SSD that they've allowed you to do now. And they even have a tutorial on how to do it on their channel. Sony have also actually had a patent approved recently. The patent was originally filed in 2020, but it's now been approved by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and this patent is to allow live stream spectators and participants to remove players from games. In the patent document, Sony outlined a system in which spectators to a live stream can vote to remove a player from an ongoing game. The player would have no veto power over the decision, and they may be reassigned to a different match. The system would display the skill level of current players and their statistics for the game, such as time played, ratings and achievements. All of this would take place through the cloud gaming system, and to avoid abuse of the system, a 60% voting threshold needs to be met in order to bench a player from the game. Spectators with a higher skill level will have their votes counted more heavily in the election. Despite Sony claiming that this system would be beneficial for removing disrespectful griefers from matches, the patent also includes the ability for spectators to pay a fixed price or bid for the ability to remove players from a game. The text also mentions that a system in which spectators can warn active players to improve their gameplay. What do you make of this?
Fuck that. It's as if they don't understand. Obviously, if people are currently obviously watching the stream, it's as if they don't understand how the internet works, and that people are just going to. They don't even have to dislike the person. People would even do it against people they actually like because it's funny, and you have no counter toward that. And as the person who has obviously purchased the game and is playing the game, that somebody else can just go, oh, here's $1, kick them out.
I think it'll be more than $1, but I think that this whole system is going to be restricted to like special events that they'll be doing, so it's not just any random matches that you jump into. But either way, I don't support this system anyway. But also in the news we have God of War 2018 version, as it's coming to PC in January. Sony Santa Monica Studio senior community manager Grace O'Lady wrote on the PlayStation blog, "We're thrilled to announce that God of War 2018 will be coming to PC on January the 14th, 2022. All of us at Santa Monica Studio have been humbled by the intense amount of support and passions fans of the God of War series have shown in the latest chapter of Kratos' story since its release. As of August 2021, 19.5 million copies for God of War on PlayStation 4 have been sold, and we can't wait to share that experience with a whole new group of people on the PC." What do you think of this?
I don't know, man. Obviously, yeah, it's good for people who just have that PC and don't have any consoles. They get to play the game, but let's be real, if you were a fan of God of War, you probably already owned it on the PlayStation. So now it's a bit late for, obviously, the actual fans. So it obviously helps to get more fans by, obviously, it's showing it to a wider audience.
Yes.
But obviously, no, it's too late.
And existing fans can obviously play the game at a better frame rate, presumably. Maybe better resolutions.
Yeah, if they buy the game again.
Yeah. Didn't you say before that you wanted God of War to come to the PC?
Shut up.
Well then, so stop whinging. We also have the full lineup for the November PlayStation Plus games. First up we have First Class Trouble for the PS5 and PS4, Knockout City for the PS5 and PS4, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning for PS4. And then the PSVR games that are being added on top will be The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, The Persistence, and Until You Fall. And those will all be available from the 2nd of November. What do you make of the lineup?
We're going to have to pick up Kingdoms of Amalur again. I got it on Steam, but I still haven't played it. Maybe if I get it on PlayStation, I actually play it. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is supposed to be a decent VR game, isn't it?
I have seen a lot of good reviews for it, yes. If you're looking to pick up something else from the PlayStation Store this week, then on the 25th of October we had Lady in a Leotard with a Gun on the PS4. On the 26th we had Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy for the PS4 and PS5. On the 27th of October we had Amazing Breaker for the PS4, Cyanide and Happiness for the PS4, Death Pack 2 for the PS4, Lucid Cycle for the PS4 and PS5, Nowhere Girl for the PS4 and PS5, Princess Loot Pixel Again for the PS4, Pumpkin Jack New Gen Edition for the PS5, Quick Maths for the PS5, Wind Peaks for the PS4, Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife for PlayStation VR, and then on the 28th of October we had Backbone for the PS5, Bassmaster Fishing 2022 on the PS4 and PS5, Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater on the PS4 and PS5, Riders Republic for the PS4 and PS5, Roki for the PS5, and Voice of Cards The Isle Dragon Roars for the PS4. What do you make of these games?
Well, I mean, Lady in a Leotard with a Gun is a very interesting title, so I'm going to have to find out what the hell that's about. I might pick up the Guardians of the Galaxy, although obviously it's by the same people who made the Avengers game, which was a flop, so maybe I might wait a bit before picking it up, see if that one's a flop too.
Well, so far I've heard some good things about it, but we'll see.
What do you think?
Well, out of all these games, the only one I'm really interested in, I think, is the Guardians of the Galaxy one, but I'm going to wait to see exactly how it goes for its first couple months before even looking at getting it. Might get on sale, we'll see.
Yeah.
I've seen a bit of the Maiden of Blackwater game. It doesn't really seem to be my kind of thing.
Is it more going wandering around a house and you take pictures of the ghost to make it leave alone?
Well, there's more of an environment than just a house, but yes, the premise is still taking pictures of ghosts. But if you're looking to pick up a game for free this week, then you can head over to the Epic Games Store and collect Dark the Complete Edition, and that'll be available from October the 28th to the 4th of November. What do you think about that?
Admittedly, I've never heard of the game, but it looks very reminiscent of games like Franbo, another cartoon-style horror game where you're like a child. Obviously, it's children's horror, so like there's not going to be a lot of gore, probably. So there's just obviously a nightmare and stuff.
I did see that it plays with perspective as well, though, so you can alter the view of the world to solve puzzles.
Interesting.
Also in the news is the developer behind the farming simulator Stardew Valley, as they have announced their next game called Concerned Apes Haunted Chocolatier. In a blog post announcing the game, Concerned Ape talked a bit about Haunted Chocolatier's driving force, where he said he wanted to explore more fantastical possibilities, something a little less grounded in reality and beyond the ordinary. But while there are ghosts and frights in Concerned Ape's Haunted Chocolatier, he said it's not an evil or negative game. In fact, for him, it's meant to be positive, uplifting, and life-affirming. He capped the post by saying that there's still a lot of work to do on the game and it will be a while before the game is done, but that he's having fun working on the project regardless. As of yet, there is no release date for the game or details about what platforms it will launch on. What do you think of this?
It's just maybe a bit more of that Stardew Valley. Obviously, it's a different genre, but it's by the same guy, so I don't know. I've never played Stardew Valley, but obviously there are other farming simulators. There's got to be a reason people love Stardew Valley over other farming simulators. I thought it might have been to do with the characters and stuff, so I expect that same kind of quality, obviously, in Haunted Chocolatier.
Yeah, personally I've never played Stardew Valley either, because it's not really my cup of tea, but the trailer for this that he did release was in the same style as that game, so
yes.
I would imagine fans of Stardew Valley would enjoy this one as well. Also in the news, we have Among Us releasing on PlayStation and Xbox in December. The digital version of Among Us will be available on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X on December the 14th. The physical edition, called the Crewmate Edition, will be available on the same day in the UK and Europe, and this version will cost about £28. Crewmate Edition includes the game and all of its DLC items. The disc will also come in a 3D lenticular case with art by Hanoko Lambert from Dual Wield Studio, and there will also be a sticker set, a poster, and codes for wallpapers. But in spring 2022, they will also bring 2 additional versions of the game if you want to wait a little longer. You'll have the Imposter Edition, which will include everything from the Crewmate Edition, except it will have a steelbook case for the disc, and it will come with a purple plush of the Among Us crewmate, a special fleece blanket, an enamel pin, and all of that will be contained within a special edition box for £45. And then you have the Ejected Edition, which is identical to the Imposter Edition, except it also includes a red imposter beanie. What do you think of this?
That part, I guess Among Us is getting another revival. You just can't kill it. It just keeps coming back. But yeah, that's good.
Also in the news, we have Aliens Fireteam Elite has apparently been abandoned by the player base. It was released on August the 23rd and received mixed reviews, but on Steam it averaged around 10,000 players for the first few weeks after release. But lack of content, small updates, and possibly the release of the more popular Back 4 Blood recently have killed the player base on the PC, with only 215 players online at the time of recording. What do you think about this?
Yeah, makes sense. Obviously, why play a game that copies Left 4 Dead when you can play a game that is actually basically a sequel to Left 4 Dead? And I think, because obviously, Back 4 Blood is a new thing, but you'll probably see more people jump back to Fireteam as time goes on, especially if they actually produced new content, because that's how you keep someone playing your game. You give them new things to do.
Yeah, it's got about the same player base as the Avengers now on PC, because that's down in 200s as well. But also in the news, Xbox have unveiled their new mini fridge, as pre-orders are due to be going live soon, with a £90 price tag. They'll be going live on October the 19th, and they arrive across multiple retailers globally in December. It will be available exclusively through Target in the US, Game in the UK, and other European countries can get it through GameStop EU, Micromania, or Toink. The fridge will be able to hold up to 10 cans, and will have 2 shelves in the door, and the door will also house a USB charging port. The DC power adapter also means that the fridge can be used on the go. Also in the news, we have the Halo co-creator joining EA to work on FPS Games, Marcus Lehto, who helped create the Halo franchise and worked as an art director on Halo, Halo 2 and Halo 3, will lead a new studio based in Seattle. In a post on LinkedIn, he said that he was very excited to announce that he's joined Electronic Arts and, as a game director, building a new studio working on first-person games. His studio will report to Vince Zampella, who is the head of Respawn Entertainment, and he'll also be reporting to DICE EA, and there's no word of what the team could be working on. Also in the news is Minecraft's next big release, which will be the Wild update, which will be out in 2022. The update will add a brand new area called the Mangrove Swamp. Part of the world will include a mangrove wood type, a mud block that lets you make mud bricks, boats with chests, and a new frog mob. What do you think of this?
It's good that it's been expanded. Still getting updates 10 years after release?
Is that going to encourage you to be playing the game?
No, probably not. I've not even done most of the stuff actually in the base game.
Yeah, well, I got my Platinum ages ago and then I've not played it since.
Yeah.
There's a lot of DLC stuff I didn't bother with. For anyone interested in Minecraft, it's also coming to the Xbox Game Pass for PC. The Minecraft PC bundle will include both Java and Bedrock versions of the game, alongside its dungeon crawling spin-off Minecraft Dungeons. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. I think it's maybe a little late for obviously bringing that out. Because again, it's 10 years old at this point.
Also in the news is Valve, as they've introduced a new system called Deck Verified for the Steam Deck, and it includes 4 labels that's designed to instantly tell you if a game works well on the Steam Deck or not. The Verified label, for example, confirms that the game will run on the Steam Deck with no hassle. Playable, meanwhile, is for games that can definitely run on the system but may need extra configuration, like using the console's on-screen keyboard. There's also Unknown for games that simply haven't had their compatibility checked yet, and the final category is Unsupported, which means that the game is simply not designed to run on the device, and every VR game in the Steam library will be given that rating, unless of course VR support is optional. What do you think of this?
It should be an easy way to let you know if you can actually run the bloody thing on your system before you buy it. And yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, VR games wouldn't be usable on a handheld system, because obviously that kind of defeats the purpose.
Steam are also removing NFT games from the platform, as they've updated their onboarding page for partners and Steamwork users with a line that makes it clear that Valve will soon ban NFT games from the platform. Under the heading, What You Shouldn't Publish on Steam, a new rule states that applications built on a blockchain technology that issue or allow exchange of cryptocurrencies or NFTs should not be distributed on the platform. Game creators are reporting that their games utilizing NFTs are being removed from the platform. What do you think of this?
I don't completely understand why NFTs are a problem.
Well, even though Steam are taking them out of their storefront, Epic Games is apparently going to welcome them. As Tim Sweeney has said, Epic Games Store will welcome games that make use of blockchain tech provided that they follow the relevant laws, disclose their terms, and are age-rated by an appropriate group. Though Epic's not using crypto in our games, we welcome innovation in the areas of technology and finance. As a technology, the blockchain is a distributed transactional database with a decentralized business model that incentivizes investment in hardware to expand the database's capacity. This has utility whether or not particular use of it succeeds or fails. We aren't touching NFTs, as the whole field is currently tangled up with the intractable mix of scams, interesting decentralized tech foundations, and scams. What do you think of that?
I mean, it makes sense for obviously Epic Games go, well, our competitor is saying don't have them, so we'll say we'll have them. Come to us and we'll get all their money that they're losing out on.
Yes.
So it's a good business move, but it's also good that they specify that as they themselves, while they don't partake in NFTs, they don't judge people who do. So their attitude appears to just be, you do you.
Yeah. Speaking of NFTs, the developers of Dead by Daylight have made a post on Twitter in which they shared to their community revealing that they have been working behind the scenes for several months to adapt an in-game Hellraiser model for use as NFTs. As they're quoted as saying, Behavior worked with Boss Protocol over several months to adapt in-game models for use as NFTs and approve them prior to the release of Pinhead in Dead by Daylight. The NFTs have a chance to grant access to the Hellraiser chapter of Dead by Daylight. Park Avenue Entertainment and Boss Protocol are great partners, and it's been a pleasure to work with them to bring Hellraiser to Dead by Daylight. It's also been confirmed that no game content is locked behind NFTs, obviously, but certain Pinhead NFTs will unlock access to certain Hellraiser collectibles. What do you think of all this?
I think it's a bit naff that obviously they weren't open about, when they made the chapter, they weren't open about the fact that it supported an NFT, and they only felt the need to mention this because they got called out for it.
Also in the news, we had a new Nintendo Direct for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and they revealed some free and paid updates for the game. The updates will be released on November the 5th, and the free update will include Brewster and the Roost, which is a coffee shop. There will also be other characters that can be invited to the coffee shop using amiibo cards activated at the yellow telephone in the cafe's corner. There will also be a few characters from previous installments to the franchise, which are Capin, Katrina, Tortimer, and Harriet. Each character comes with their own activities for you to do. Capin ferries players to exclusive islands or while singing his seafaring tunes on the way. He can be found hanging out at the pier, waiting to make a trip to a mysterious island. Katrina and Harriet will take up shop on Halves Island in the new marketplace. Harriet will give haircuts with new options available, while Katrina will tell daily fortunes. And then Tortimer was shown briefly during the Animal Crossing Direct, as he's seen to operate a storage cart. The update also includes gyroids, which can be found and dug up around the island, but players can also plant them and water them to produce more. They also introduce stretching, in which players can grab their Joy-Cons and stretch along with the villagers in the island plaza. There's also farming and cooking, with 5 new crops for players to grow and harvest, which are wheat, tomatoes, potatoes, sugarcane and carrots. There's also a froggy chair and ordinances which can be set to make your island work better for you, and those options include slowing the rate at which weeds grow, and you can also make your characters get up early or stay up late. They've also brought more storage, so players can now expand up to 5,000 items via 3 upgrades. There's also a pro camera app, more exterior home options, new custom fencing, new hairstyles and reactions, pro construction license, pro decorating license, custom designs patterns, and then the paid DLC, which is called Happy Home Paradise, will provide paradise planning, which allows you to design the perfect vacation home for various characters. You also get a Happy Home Network app, which gives players the ability to visit other designers' creations, and there's new design techniques and a new currency called Poki, new furniture, and you can design restaurants and schools. What do you think of all this?
Well, I think, to be fair, they should probably just gone with they probably should have just announced like the free stuff and then announced the like paid stuff at a later date, because that is a lot to come up with like in the one direct.
Yeah.
That's already a lot of obviously free stuff coming. And then obviously later down the line they're going to start doing paid DLC, which is a bit naff.
What's a bit naff? The fact you have to pay for it or the actual content?
The fact you have to pay for it. Like, how do they decide that all the free DLC they've brought out over the last year, that can be free, but then they've decided after that they're going to be paid? But like the quality of them appears to be the same.
In that direct, they also revealed the Nintendo Switch Online and Expansion Pack prices and the date that they're going to be taking into effect. The Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack will be priced at about £35 or €40 or $50 respectively for a 12-month individual membership, and a family membership will be about £60, €70 or $80 respectively for 12 months, which is essentially double the price of their base tier of the original 12 months. Nintendo has also confirmed that the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack release date is going to be October the 25th, and the enhanced subscription tier will add digital collections of the Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games. However, it's also now been confirmed that the expansion pack tier will also include exclusive access to the paid Animal Crossing New Horizons DLC, but the DLC can also be sold separately for $22.49 or $25. But if you pay for the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack membership, the DLC will be included as part of the subscription. What do you make of this?
Well, for like the expansion pass, basically just it was obviously before it was just allow you to get the N64 games and the Sega Genesis games, which I thought they should have basically had the ability to actually get them a separate way rather than having to pay obviously the fee. Because like you said, didn't you say it was double the normal amount?
It's essentially double the price now, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't think is really worth that.
Well, also in the news we have the Kingdom Hearts series producer has stated that bringing the Kingdom Hearts titles to Nintendo Switch has proven to be quite difficult for various reasons, including the storage capacity of the hardware, but we're excited that we are able to make it happen for the first time ever by utilising a cloud service. At this moment in time, the production of native versions is undecided. We believe that the cloud version is currently the best way to deliver the Kingdom Hearts series to Nintendo Switch, but we are also excited to hear feedback from our fans and want to thank them for their support for some time. Our director has expressed his desire to deliver the Kingdom Hearts series to Nintendo Switch players, him having seen and heard the demand, and so a great deal of consideration went into this internally. What do you think of this?
I can't disagree with him. Yeah, it does. It makes more sense to obviously put it on cloud if obviously the system can't run it. Obviously, yeah, it'd be great if Nintendo made a console that games could run on. That's not what happened. So, at the very least, obviously get to play the game, but I'm pretty sure a cloud version means you got to have access to the internet to play it.
You have to have a strong, steady internet connection in order for it to work.
Yeah, it's just, what you give up by... If you get a console that can't handle it, that's obviously the sacrifice you've got to make. To be able to play more demanding games.
Also in the news we have Dying Light being banned from the Switch eShop in Europe. As Techland stated on their subreddit, Dying Light in Europe has been digitally restricted, so if you're talking about the digital version, then due to the nature of content of the digital version of the game, it's currently banned in Germany, where the European eShop is officially registered. This is making it impossible to officially distribute the game in European countries and also Australia and New Zealand. We are currently working with our partner and local authorities to remove the ban as soon as we can. The game is available digitally in the US, Asia, and the retail version is available worldwide except for Germany. What do you think of this?
Why is it banned?
Because Germany don't like the content in the game.
But did they say why?
That's all we know.
What, because it contains zombies? I don't know, it's weird.
So, if you want Dying Light on your Switch and you're not in Germany but are in a European country, then you can get a physical copy of it, at least. You just can't buy it digitally at the minute.
Yeah.
But also in the news we have Blizzard hiring for a unannounced open world game. According to the new job listing, the role states that the studio is looking for an associate content designer for an unannounced project. The job asks for someone who can design and implement new events and open world content and who has an understanding of RPG reward mechanics. An added benefit would be a candidate who had previous design experience for online multiplayer games or experience working on an FPS game. What do you think of this?
I don't know. New IP for Blizzard.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just going to copy, obviously, Bethesda. Because obviously Bethesda have, obviously, their World of Tamriel, Fantasy World, and Blizzard have Azeroth, Fantasy World. Bethesda have Fallout's Wasteland. Now I guess Blizzard's going to have Blizzard's Blankland.
Yeah, I suppose I'll have to wait and see what kind of game it will be and wait for any more details on it. But Activision Blizzard has also fired more than 20 employees after the harassment claims throughout the company. They said they fired more than 20 members of staff and 20 more individuals are facing other forms of disciplinary action. It added that it would expand its ethics and compliance team by adding 19 full-time roles in order to create a more accountable workplace and culture. 2 of the roles will be specifically dedicated to overseeing investigations related to the Europe, the Middle East, Africa and Asia Pacific regions. Staff at Activision are able to submit a report anonymously, and the company said that there will be zero tolerance for retaliation of any kind and it would terminate or discipline those violating its policies. What do you make of this?
I think if they screwed up, yeah, get rid of them. The problem being it would also it says obviously you can submit a support anonymously and that they're not going to tolerate obviously retaliation. How do you know?
How do you know what?
If it's anonymous, how can the person retaliate against you? How do they know it was you who reported them?
Well, because if they suddenly start getting investigated and they know that they've done something wrong to a certain person, they might put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, just obviously kind of defeats the purpose of obviously an anonymous thing if the abuser is capable of obviously working it out very easily. Obviously, it's not very subtle to go, right, Stacey reports Jeff for, sexual harassment or something, I don't know. And then, obviously, it's anonymous. And then one day, Jeff's boss just walks up to him and goes, so, we've had a complaint you were sexually harassing a female employee. It's blatantly obvious to Jeff, okay, so Stacey reported me. But if they did, obviously, something more subtle and behind the scenes, maybe Jeff wouldn't figure it out and figure out it was Stacey.
Well, I would assume that their initial investigation would be a lot more subtle than just being very blatant about it to the person that's being accused. But Blizzard are also renaming a World of Warcraft character who was given the name based on a musician known as George Corpsegrinder Fisher. The character George the Corpsegrinder was added back in 2008 as a nod to that particular artist, and that artist was a self-proclaimed pathetic nerd for World of Warcraft, talking in length about his passion for the game and his Horde characters in a 2007 interview. but things took a turn when he decided to start ranting about his hatred for the Alliance and used homophobic slurs and telling those people who played that faction to kill themselves. Blizzard has tweeted, Blizzard is continuing to make targeted adjustments to World of Warcraft on the patch 9.1.5 PTR, renaming a reference to George Corpsegrinder Fisher while changing dialogue in the quests. Damsels were made to be saved, and the day the Deathwing came. What do you think of this?
I think in this context, it sounds like he does sound like a bit of an asshole, but based on the fact he's the vocalist for a band called Cannibal Corpse, I'm gonna guess his persona is pretty brash anyway.
Yeah.
Because obviously he doesn't. I don't know. I don't think they should have changed the character anyway.
Also in the news, we have a couple of New World players who've created a fully functioning minimap after they kept losing track of where things are in the towns. The minimap comes complete with icons for important locations, and for other players who struggle to find their way in New World, they've uploaded the Minimap Mod to Overwolf if anyone would like to download it. As well as mapping the player's location, the minimap also tracks ores, herbs, essences, chests, and more. What do you think of this?
Why was this not in the game? Why would you make an open world game with no minimap?
It's not the first game to do that. They want to give you a sense of exploration.
And get a sense of exploration even with a minimap.
It's not an actual exploration if you've got a pointer telling you where to go.
Oh no, no one said I had to have a pointer telling me where to go, but the fact that obviously I can see a map of my surroundings, like a mini-map of my surroundings, and obviously if it has like maybe the compass points, so I at least know which direction I'm heading, rather than obviously just walking aimlessly through a forest or something, and then not knowing if I'm getting closer to my destination, or am I getting further away from my destination. Like, these are things you would have. Obviously, if you were actually in the wilderness, it would probably be a good idea to obviously have a compass and to have a map. So you have a rough idea of which direction you've got to go to get to where you want to be. I'm not saying you have to have like a waypoint system where it's like gives you a direct route to there, but at the very least, let me know what direction I want to go, because screw trying to find stuff.
But then you're not exploring.
I don't have time.
But that's the whole point, that's what I'm saying. We also have some news from Elden Ring, finally, as they're going to begin network tests on November the 12th. It's console exclusive, so you can't do it on the PC, but the current schedule is November the 12th will be 3 AM to 6 AM Pacific time. Then on the 13th of November you've got 11 AM to 2 PM Pacific time. And then on the 14th of November you've got 3 PM to 6 PM Pacific time and 7 PM to 10 PM Pacific time. What do you think of this?
I don't remember it's been so long, I don't remember what on earth Elden Ring even is.
Elden Ring is the next FromSoft game.
Oh, so like a Soulsborne game.
Yes, it's the one that George R.R. Martin has had a little bit of work in.
Oh, I mean, if he's had work in it, that's never coming out.
Well, it is. The game has also been delayed.
Yeah, makes sense.
In a tweet that they posted, they said that Elden Ring will release on February 25th, 2022, as the depth and strategic freedom of the game exceeded initial expectations. Thank you for your trust and patience. We look forward to seeing you experience the game in the closed network test in November. So it's only been delayed by a month anyway.
Yeah.
But also in the news, we have Blue Box Studios, as they've released a statement regarding the constant death threats that they've been receiving. As they said, the following message is not addressed to a company, but as a group of human beings. The last few days has been difficult. Death threats are increasing online, but unfortunately also physical, and this has to stop. We have been dealing with death threats for the past few months, and the last few days we have been dealing with it again, especially physically. This not only affects us as a team, but everyone within our environment, other businesses, families, and everyone surrounding us. We want to work in a safe environment, and with job openings upcoming in the future, we want to offer a safe work environment for future colleagues as well. We won't tolerate this, and we will take action by providing authorities IP addresses, logs, and camera footages. We are fully aware of the negative situation that we've created, and we truly understand your frustration. But what we don't understand are the death threats. We understand and appreciate your interest in Abandoned. We are working hard on Abandoned. We will set a regular blog on our website that you can follow, and we will post any news on Abandoned on our Twitter. But all we ask, until then, is just give us space to let us work on Abandoned. Please. Thank you. What do you think of this message?
Who do they think they are, wanting to be treated like human being? God. Now, obviously, yeah, don't send death threats to people because you want to play the game. And then, obviously, on the other hand, ignore the death threats. They're not actually going to do anything.
Online death threats are a lot easier to ignore than the physical ones that they've been receiving, though. But yes, I second their message that you should leave them the fuck alone, let them do their work. Read the blog if you're interested in the game. Also in the news, we have Vampire the Masquerade, as an interview with their game director, Craig Hubbard, confirmed that the team isn't looking at the Xbox Series or the last generation of consoles for potential ports, as it focuses on releasing the game on PC and PS5 later this year. He explained by saying, "Our philosophy is that we would rather be on fewer platforms at a higher quality than risk spreading ourselves too thin. I can't really comment on the future, not because we have something to hide, but rather because right now we're concentrating on the near term. Launching a PvP game is a huge undertaking that requires commitment, adaptability, resourcefulness, and focus, so we can't afford a lot of distractions." What do you make of this?
I mean, I agree that, obviously trying to implement it so it works on other platforms, yes, is going to end up decreasing the quality of the product, but I wouldn't include the Xbox Series X and S, actually, maybe S, into that, because are there that much of a difference between, obviously, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X that you could just, obviously, put it onto there? But, because it debuted from PlayStation, they probably have an agreement to have it on PlayStation, like, similar to how Xbox had the second Tomb Raider game for a year extra.
Yeah, but it's obviously not going to be exclusive to the PS5 because it's also going to be released on the PC. But also in the news, we have The Witcher 3's free next-gen upgrade and Cyberpunk 2077's next-gen upgrade have been delayed until 2022. As they posted, "Dear all, we have an important update regarding the next-generation updates of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for consoles and PC based on recommendations supplied by teams supervising the development of both games. We decided to postpone their release until 2022. Our current target for Cyberpunk is the first quarter of 2022 and the second quarter of 2022 for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Apologies for the extended wait, but we want to make it right." What do you think of this?
I have no issue with them obviously delaying the release for the next gen consoles, because one, I'd have a next gen console. Two, I'd rather it obviously worked when it came out.
Yeah, as someone with a next gen console, I would still say delay the fucking thing is fine by me, because it means it'll work better. You have more time to make sure everything's right, because no one wants a repeat of what Cyberpunk's initial launch was.
Yep.
Also in the news, we have a Rockstar job listing for a VFX artist at the developer's New England studio, and it says that Rockstar aims to bring extra life to the environment, character, weapons, vehicles, and more, with visual effects that help immerse the player in a believable world. That immersion ranges from something as small as insects circling around the player, or rain dropping off buildings, all the way up to large-scale destruction events, like skyscrapers crashing into the ground. The listing also mentions systems working to create their own related effects, weapon crate bullet impacts, vehicle kick up dirt and smoke, and leave debris when they crash. Objects get dirty when they fall in mud. What do you think of this?
So yeah, they're putting a lot of time, obviously, into making it as real as possible. Obviously, I mean, you have to have a good few games, obviously, in the industry before they'll even accept your application.
There has been some speculation that this listing might refer to a job for work on GTA 6, considering what the requirements are.
Yeah.
Also in the news, we have Apex Legends, as apparently posing in the game causes it to crash. The studio tweeted about the bug last week, explaining that animated poses are crashing the game and a fix is coming, though there are no specific dates for when it will arrive. For the time being, Respawn Entertainment is urging players unequip epic poses until the patch is applied. What do you think of this?
I think maybe people just should stop doing poses so they can take selfies and actually play the game. But yeah, it is a bit weird that obviously the poses are what's crashing a game.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll actually apply the fix very quickly. But also in the news, we have Call of Duty Vanguard, as they've decided they're not going to censor swastikas. The swastika is, of course, a symbol that's been synonymous with the Nazi movement since World War II, and it very rarely finds its way into video games, but it's typically cut from the vast majority of titles set around that time period and replaced with the Iron Cross. Sledgehammer co-founder Michael Condrey said, "We've wrestled with this topic of Nazi iconography, including the swastika, throughout the course of the development. There are, of course, cultural boundaries that we felt we needed to respect, and we also wanted to be authentic in our approach to game design. It's a fine balance of not glorifying the symbolism, while also not ignoring or shying away from this dark moment in human history. There's certainly a line that we are very conscious not to cross, while still honouring the sacrifice of those who fought to push back the world from the brink of tyranny. In short, it's not something we take lightly." And apparently in the game there will be an option to either display a swastika or the Iron Cross in your version of the world. What do you make of this?
I don't know. It's a happy middle ground. You can, if you want a realistic experience, you can have the swastika, and if you're going to get triggered, you can have your Iron Cross.
I think it's a good middle ground for actually providing a more authentic experience than previous titles have in recent years, whilst also providing an experience for people who don't like to see that symbol anymore. We've also had a few trailers this week. First up was the Gotham Knights official Court of Owls story trailer. What did you make of that one?
It doesn't really tell me what on earth, Court of Owls are, or then, they're a shadowy organisation.
Yeah, I know that they're in the comics, but I've not read the comics, so I don't really know what they're about, and the trailer just seemed to depict them as some kind of secret society.
Yeah.
That I guess the Gotham Knights will be hunting down as part of the story. Is Gotham Knights something you're interested in?
Yeah.
Well, then we can play it together at some point then, because there's co-op in that game. Another trailer that we had, of course, was for Starfield, where it showed off the settled systems. What did you make of that one?
I felt it seemed very reminiscent of Outer Worlds.
Okay.
So which was basically Fallout in space. So this is the actual people who make Fallout are now making Fallout in space. What are your thoughts?
It's a game that I'm interested in, but I won't be able to play because it's exclusive to the Xbox. We also have a trailer for a game called The Invincible. It was just a teaser trailer though, but what did you make of it?
I'm not entirely sure what it is. It looks like, obviously, you appear to be on, Mars. You're hunting the guy down, but why he has that nickname, obviously, it doesn't say. So, what is whether is he an escaped fugitive or something? Why am I hunting him down? Is it because he has this ability to be invincible? There's got to be some reason he's called the Invincible.
I'm not sure. Maybe they'll reveal more about it at a later date. But then again, the game is also based on a book. So for people who've read that particular book, they will probably know.
Yeah. So obviously, if we have any readers in the audience who've read this book, let me know why on earth it's called the Invincible.
We also had a trailer for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League official story trailer. What did you make of that one?
I thought Suicide Squad was about, the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I thought it was like Superman has turned evil, but obviously, yes, it's called Kill the Justice League, but why are the Justice League the bad guys? Are they the bad guys? Or am I still am I playing from the perspective of the bad guys trying to kill the heroes?
Yes, that just about does it for this week's episode. If you have any thoughts on anything we've discussed, then leave them in the comment section below as always, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.